Chancellor of Universiti Sains Islam Malaysia. Yang berbahagia Profesor Datuk Dr. Hassan Basri Awang Majaha, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Students Affairs USIM, guests from CIMB, staff of USIM, and all participants. Hai, thank you. Aku baru sebenarnya.
2:15 housekeeping announcement.
Sekarang?
Sekarang tu 13.
Oh, salah.
Asal?
2:12.
Kurang. Aduh.
Laki ke dunia tu.
Later on, I can do it. You close your eyes now. Close your eyes now. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Relax. Okay? Then I want you to visualize. Okay? Visualize later. You are coming. You know what to say. The students are responding. Everyone is okay. You feel okay. Take a deep breath. Tarik nafas. Okay? Then you boleh. Sure can one. It's easy. They are all human. Macam ni. Macam ni. Kisah. Ya. Yang tu. Macam mana nama dia tu? Adik macam selamba santai je. Diorang walaupun macam juga orang.
Dah ke? Belum. Belum. Oh, skipping. Tak ada.
Kawan masih ingat perkara yang ketiga saya cakap tadi, you kena buat apa? Apa? Cheese.
Pro Chancellor of USIM with distinguished guests. Guests, please rise. Please cut the music. Apologies. The VIPs was in the holding room. Sorry for the inconvenience. Universiti Sains Islam Malaysia, Yang Mulia Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz, Chief Executive Officer of CIMB Group, yang berbahagia Datuk Hamidah Naziruddin, Chief Executive Officer of CIMB Foundation, yang berbahagia Profesor Datuk Dr. Musa Ahmad, Vice Chancellor of Universiti Sains Islam Malaysia, yang berbahagia Profesor Datuk Dr. Hassan Basri Awang Madahan, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Students Affairs USIM, guests from CIMB, staff of USIM, and all participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, salam integrasi ilmu nakli dan akli, dan salam negaraku sehati sejiwa. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this BeSMART session. My name is Zarif and I am your MC today. This special program is contrived and brought to you by CIMB Foundation to empower our youth in their quest to lead a balanced and stable life. And so, it gives me great pleasure to welcome all of you to our USIM Campus Barakah today to commemorate it. To seek blessings for today's event, we would like to call upon Brother Afif Zikri Zaini, student of University Sains Islam Malaysia, to recite the doa. Please welcome.
Al-Fatiha. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wal-aqibatu lil-muttaqin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal-mursalin. Wa ala alihi wa ashabihil ajma'in. Ya Allah, di majlis yang mulia ini, kami merafakkan rasa kesyukuran kepadamu yang maha pemurah lagi maha penyayang atas segala nikmat yang engkau kurniakan kepada kami. Dapat kami berkumpul di sini untuk menjayakan slot interaktif program BeSMART. Ya Allah, sesungguhnya pada petang ini kami berhimpun hanya dengan satu tujuan, hanya untuk mencari keridaan-Mu. Wahai Allah yang maha pemurah, pemilik sekalian alam yang luas terbentang. Ya Allah, kurniakanlah kami taufik dan hidayah-Mu agar dapat kami harungi kehidupan dengan kejayaan dan kecemerlangan di dunia dan di akhirat. Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, dengan berkat rahmat dan inayah-Mu, kami memohon kepadamu agar diberikan kemudahan dan kelancaran sepanjang slot interaktif ini. Sesungguhnya kami tiada kekuatan dan upaya melainkan dengan izin daripada-Mu, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, kami mohon gerakkanlah hati-hati kami dalam mencintai-Mu. Satukanlah jiwa-jiwa kami dalam menggapai keredaan-Mu. Kumpulkanlah seterusnya kami nanti dalam syurga-Mu bersama para nabi, syuhada dan ahli keluarga kami. Allahumma aj'al jam'ana hadha jam'an marhuma wa tafarruqna min ba'dihi tafarruqan ma'suma. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار مولانا دعوهم فيها سبحانك اللهم وتحيتهم فيها سلام والآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you, Brother Afif Zikri Zaini, for the doa recitation. Without further ado, allow me to call upon yang berbahagia, Profesor Datuk Dr. Musa Ahmad, Vice Chancellor of USIM, to deliver his welcoming speech. Please welcome.
Terima kasih pengurusi majlis. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirrabbilalamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabihi ajma'in. Dengan nama Allah yang pengasih lagi maha penyayang, selawat dan salam ke atas junjungan baginda Rasulullah SAW. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad.
Yang Amat Mulia Tunku Besar CIMB Menanti, Tunku Ahli Ritaudin Ibni Tuanku Mukhris, Pro Chancellor of University Sains Islam Malaysia, Yang Mulia Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz, Chief Executive Officer of CIMB Group, Yang berbahagia Datuk Hamidah Naziruddin, Chief Executive Officer of CIMB Foundations, Yang berbahagia Profesor Datuk Dr. Hassan Basri Awang Makdahan, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs, USIM, a guest from CIMB, staff of USIM, and all participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, salam satu Malaysia. And in USIM we have another salam integrasi ilmu nakli dan akli. So Alhamdulillah, it is really a magnificent pleasure to welcome Yang Amat Mulia Tunku Besar CIMB Menanti, Tunku Ahli Ritaudin Ibni Tuanku Mukhris, Pro Chancellor of University Sains Islam Malaysia, also Yang Mulia Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz, the Group CEO of CIMB Group, who also our adjunct professor and former CEO faculty program, and also Honorable Datuk Hamidah Naziruddin, CEO of CIMB Foundation. So a special welcome also to Datuk VIP, and all the participants. So as the host, of this event, so with this opportunity, I would like to take this opportunity, to extend a warm welcome to all distinguished guests and participants, to this event, which is organized by CIMB Foundation, cooperated with Student Affairs Department of USIM. It is a pleasant to see many of audiences this afternoon, mainly coming from our Tamidi students. They are all around about 100 plus. Actually, I expect, the number should be more, because actually we're having more or less around about 900 students. But I was told that some of them, they're having some other engagement. But we expect, for this coming September, when the new semester is open, we expect maybe we can provide more students, from our undergraduates program, because we're having more or less in total around about 12,000 students. So I suppose they also need to benefit from this program. So Alhamdulillah, thanks to Allah for all the blessing, and with His permission, we can sit together to enjoy this BeSMART financial literacy program. So before, when I arrived, this afternoon, I managed to talk to some of the students, because I was meant to understand the program. It started yesterday, and it seemed that they are really very, looking forward, they are very excited with the program. And actually, you are very fortunate, because today, the program, we're having two very important and experienced persons are going to share, their experience and views with you. So make sure you're going to post them, the very challenging and very hard, difficult questions, so that they can really, share, their experience with you. Please do that. So our event today is a part and parcel of USIM objective to keep relevant to industry, especially banking sector. So inshallah, by having today's event, we would have the opportunity to listen to an interactive slot session from the expert, as I mentioned just now. From Yang Amat Mulia Tunku Besar CIMB Menanti Tunku Ahli Ritaudin Ibni Tuanku Mukhris, and also Honorable Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz. And inshallah, this will be an impactful and beneficial session to the audience, especially for the Tamidi students. You are very lucky, basically, because you are still early in this university, so maybe you have another 4 years or 5 years or 6 years, depending on the program that you're going to embark, after you finish your Tamhidi. So I think the knowledge, the experience that you gain from this program is something that you can use, the rest. It's not only during your student time, but when you start working as well. So I have been informed that this program initiated by CIMB Foundation and Germ System cooperated with the Student Affairs Department of USIM, which this event provide a financial management program, especially for the university students. So I was made to understand, during these two programs, around about 200 Tamil students okay, involved, and inshallah in the near future we should be able to provide more students, okay, to involve. So definitely we need bigger space, okay, than this hall for the next program, inshallah. Okay. And the main objective of this program is as an awareness and to complete the coming generation with knowledge, thinking and skill to manage their financial. So this 2 days program will be conducted by an interactive session, simulation and Q&A session with panel from the bank. And I was told that yesterday we were also having some games, you know, which is, I suppose it's very interesting, okay, normally by using game. In fact, now we aware that Mohe also encourage, you know, gamification to be part, you know, of the PNP activities, okay, so that students will understand, you know, the subject, easily, and they can remember, you know, what they learn. So, ladies and gentlemen, we at USIM take serious of our vision to produce a holistic and balanced student. So this vision is achievable with momentous events such as the cooperation of USIM stakeholders, including the banking industries. And today we're having a CIMB with us. So for this reason, I'm sure that this is a good platform to bridge the gap between USIM and banking sector, especially CIMB. So once again, I would like to thank Yang Amat Mulia Tunku Besar Sri Menanti, Tunku Ali Taudin Ibni Tuanku Mukhris as our Pro Chancellor of USIM, and Yang Mulia Tunku Datuk Sri Zafrul Tunku Abdul Aziz, the Group CEO of CIMB Group, for their commitment in sharing their meaningful insight with us today. Okay, because not this is, they are really very busy. I mean, for them, okay, to spend, to allocate their time, okay, to come to USIM and sharing their experience with you, actually something which is, you know, you really need to appreciate that. Okay? So I would like to express my sincere gratitude to everyone who has contributed to this program. Okay, may Allah shower His blessing upon us. May today's program be a fruitful one for all of us. Okay, with that short note, okay, so once again, I would like, you know, to welcome all the participants, you know, I mean, particularly our friends, you know, from CIMB to come to USIM. Okay, I'm hoping this is not, you know, your first and last time, okay, probably you will come again to USIM, okay, for some other program in the near future, inshallah. Okay, with that, thank you very much. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hopefully you will enjoy the program.
Thank you Yang Berbahagia Datuk for such warm welcoming speech. And now, let us all welcome Yang Berbahagia Datuk Hamidah Naziruddin, CEO of CIMB Foundation, to deliver her speech. Please welcome.
Yang Amat Mulia, can you all hear me? Okay, I think that's better. Yeah, thank you. Yang Amat Mulia, Tunku Besar Sri Menanti, Tunku Ali Rizauddin, Ibni Tuanku Mukhris, Pro Chancellor of University Science Islam Malaysia. Yang Mulia Tunku Datuk Sri Zafrul Tunku Abdul Aziz, also known as my boss, Chief Executive Officer of CIMB Group. Yang Berbahagia Professor Datuk Dr. Musa Ahmad, Vice Chancellor, University Science Islam Malaysia. Yang Berbahagia Professor Datuk Dr. Hassan Basri Awang Mat Dahan, Deputy Vice Chancellor of Students Affairs, USIM. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Yang Amat Mulia Tunku Besar Sri Menanti, Tunku Ali Rizauddin Ibni Tuanku Mukhris, patut menjunjung kasih di atas kesudian Yang Amat Mulia Tunku untuk turut hadir bersama patik-patik sekalian pada hari yang bersejarah ini. Patik ingin memohon limpah perkenan Yang Amat Mulia Tunku untuk meneruskan ucapan patik di dalam bahasa Inggeris. On behalf of CIMB Foundation, it gives me great pleasure to extend to all of you a warm welcome to this special BeSMART event. I would like to especially thank Tunku for joining us today, as your presence here is another testament of your commitment and passion towards youth development. So Yang Amat Mulia Tunku, ladies and gentlemen, Let me begin with a short commercial break to share a little bit about what CIMB does. It will take about 2 minutes. Please bear with me. Now, CIMB Foundation is in the business of giving back to society. We believe that, as a nation, it is incredibly important that every segment of society works together to help each other grow. There is no way our country can progress without such collaboration because we all need each other in order to function well. As they say, a team is only as strong as its weakest link. Similarly, our success is not true success if the communities around us are left behind. This is our equation for success. Seperti yang tertulis di dalam Al-Quran, dan barang siapa yang membantu orang yang dalam kesusahan, nescaya Allah akan membantu memudahkan urusannya di dunia dan akhirat. Holding true to this philosophy, we do our best to give back to the community in as many ways as possible. Since CIMB Foundation was set up 10 years ago, we have supported about, guess how many projects? We have supported about 960 projects and expended a total amount of, guess how much? Close to 100 million. To benefit more than 800,000 lives across ASEAN, regardless of race, regardless of color or creed, because diversity and inclusivity are values embraced not just by Foundation, but also by CIMB Group. We have achieved this through 3 pillars: community, sports, and education. One of our leading programs is our Community Link program, which allows our branches to engage with community leaders to impact their own local communities. These programs range from providing healthcare to rural communities, improving the environment, to enhancing the capacity of disadvantaged individuals. From these projects, we have provided over 3,000 patients with free cataract surgery, empowered over 2,500 disadvantaged women, and improved the quality of life of over 3,000 special needs individuals. For our sports pillar, we support the development of grassroots level players in squash, in football, and Paralympic sports. One of our proudest achievements has been Ng In Yao, who has been part of CIMB Foundation's family since he was 7 years old, bringing home the World Junior Squash Championship title at 17 years old. In addition to Ian Yao, we are nurturing many more talented players who are confident, who are on their way to achieving their potential of becoming champions themselves. And seeing as SEA Games is just around the corner, I would like to share my happiness in announcing that 16 of our boys and girls from the Junior Squash Development Program will be representing our country, going against the best of the best in Southeast Asia. And not forgetting our Pan-Disability Football Program, which has also produced professional athletes who will be representing Malaysia for blind football and wheelchair basketball at the ASEAN Para Games this coming September. As for education, we have our annual leadership program for ASEAN youths called the CIMB Young ASEAN Leaders, where we invite young leaders from all 10 ASEAN countries to gather and discuss issues of common concern and to anticipate future needs of their respective countries and how to meet them. Last year, our youth tackled the topic of disaster risk reduction, learning from experts around the world, and even taking part in a flood drill with our very own Jabatan Pertahanan Awam Malaysia. This year, our theme will be entrepreneurship. So if any of you are interested to apply, you can find out more on our website. And finally, acknowledging the amazing 2-day educational program, which I'm sure you're all familiar with now, is BeSMART, our flagship financial literacy program, which leads us to why you all, the bright minds, are here today. Now, the youth have always been the core focus of CIMB Foundation's initiatives because we believe in the importance of sowing into the future. So I'm sure you have all had many questions about how to lead your life. For example, when should you buy your first car? How do you even begin investing your money? Do you all learn all that? What's the best way to use a credit card and so on, right? Nowadays, as the world becomes more advanced, you are actually more at risk than ever before, especially with spending, especially all this online shopping, right? And other temptations, which is so easily available nowadays. Now, as of last year, 96,000 individuals had been declared bankrupt by the Department of Insolvency, 24% of which were youths under the age of 35. Now, this is very alarming. So think about it. You are already declared bankrupt under the age of 35. So can you imagine, before you even start your independent life, already being burdened by debts? So this reality is something that CIMB Foundation is striving hard to prevent. So as such, we have committed over 3.5 million to this program to educate 8,000 youths across all states in Malaysia with the hope that you will all have a better start to your future. Clap for CIMB Foundation. So you have gone through 2 days of our BeSMART program. You have learned what it takes to be financially fit. So I want to commend all of you for making this decision to learn how to take control of your finances at such a young age. It is never too early to start. Now this weekend, to echo what Dr. Musa has said, not only have you had the chance to learn from our trainers and bank members, but today you are going to have this golden opportunity to interact with two very experienced leaders who are passionate about giving back to society, and particularly so with youth development and education. So I think there's no need to introduce them anymore, but just to echo what Dr. Musa has said, please ask them questions. You can ask them any questions that you want, as tough as you can or as silly as it is, all right? Because this is your chance to learn as much as you can. You are all paramount in shaping our country's future. The more able you are to manage your personal finances, the more capacity you have to contribute to the economy and develop your nation. All of you have time on your side, so I urge you to start putting into practice all that you have learned over these 2 days and share your newfound knowledge with your families and also your friends. Champion financial literacy for your generation and also for your future. And later on, after your matriculation, if you are interested for internship with the financial industry, please know that CIMB Bank, not Foundation, CIMB Bank also offers internship opportunities for you all during semester break. And again, this is forward planning, forward thinking, forwarding your ambitions and your dreams. If after 4 or 5 years and you have graduated and you want to consider a career with us, we have what we call a very sought after winning program, winning management training program. It's called the Complete Banker Program and the Fusion Program. Again, please feel free to apply. So I think that's all. It's not really commercial break. Seriously, this is what we do. We believe a lot in you all, in the youth, in the future, for you all are our future. So without further ado, on behalf of CIMB Foundation, I would like to thank everyone who has made time to be with us today. Yes, we know it is a Sunday. And once again to Tunku and our group CEO for gracing this BeSMART program with your presence. I'm sure the students are eagerly waiting to ask a lot of questions. Aren't you all? Yes, all right. So have fun, everybody. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Yang Berbahagia Datuk, for the benevolent speech. Ladies and gentlemen, now is the pinnacle moment we all have been waiting for. Please welcome to the stage Yang Amat Mulia, Tunku Ali Ridauddin Ibni Tuanku Mukhris, Pro Chancellor of USIM, and Yang Mulia Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz, CEO of CIMB Group and Adjunct Professor for Faculty of Economy and Muamalat USIM for an interactive session. They will be sharing with us their thoughts on financial management, leadership, and career. Moderated by Mr. Raymond Gabriel, co-founder and executive director of People Systems Consultancy, Sedurian Berhad.
Tengku Zafrul, Tengku Ali, you're both very, very busy people, and I'd like to get straight to it. On a Sunday, I'm sure you have a lot of things to do. I understand, Tengku Zafrul, you just came from the CIMB run, the colour run, earlier this morning. Why are you here volunteering your time to help youth today? Could you share with us?
Thank you. First of all, thank you, Professor, Vice Chancellor, Dr. Musa, and the rest for having CIMB Foundation here and myself. The question is, why am I here? You know, I echo what Datuk Hamidah said just now. You know, I believe that all of you are our future. I believe that knowing about financial freedom is very important. In fact, let me just share with you a recent survey by Banegara. A recent survey by Banegara shows that out of our Malaysian population, 75% of our Malaysian population have difficulty raising 1,000 ringgit, you know, if you have an emergency. This was just concluded recently. And then Banegara also did another survey. They found out that, well, the conclusion is 25% of Malaysians do not have any form of investment, right? So, you know, it's important that we, you know, educate the Malaysian public and, of course, the youth. You know, the youth, if you look at the youth population today, all of you, between the age of 18 and 25, is about 20% now of our Malaysian population. So that's a huge, you know, number of Malaysians who are now, you know, should learn about financial freedom. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you, Dr. Zafrul. Tengku Ali.
Well, thanks for the question. Assalamualaikum, good afternoon. Thank you, CIMB, actually, for inviting me. Dr. Amidah, Tengku Zafrul. And of course, very happy to be back here at USIM with Datuk Musa, Dr. Hassan. It's, why am I here? I guess, I mean, for me, when I received the invitation from CIMB to come to USIM, first and foremost, any invitation to come to USIM, given I'm also involved here as a Pro-Chancellor, is something I would very much like to accept. And you know, if I can make it, I will come. So, alhamdulillah, I managed to be here this afternoon. Yeah. Secondly, you know, Tengku Zafrul is a good friend, and so I have to say, you know, receiving an invitation from him is usually means it's more likely to be yes than no.
Okay.
Depends, though.
High degree of influence there.
But you know, echoing what has been said. To be frank, I mean, I didn't know much about this program before coming here this afternoon and before they sent me some information to look at. And so from a perspective of financial management, you know, I'm happy to talk about my own experiences, but I'm certainly no expert. But what I do feel very passionate about is, you know, the youth of Malaysia and the future of the country that all of you hold in your hands, right? And I think it's critically important as you go through your life journey that you need to be equipped with various skills to be able to sort of manage that course and that path. So financial management and financial literacy is certainly one of those key skills, without which it makes it very difficult for you to go to try and achieve other things. So it's almost a basic pillar of sort of being out there in the world these days. So I felt, you know, even if I don't have any formal training as such in this area, I have been around a while, I guess, and I've worked in institutions which involve looking at your finances. So hopefully I'll be able to contribute a bit to the discussion this afternoon.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Tunku Ali, this question is for you. You know, for the last 2 days, the students have been here. They are a wonderful bunch, full of energy. Am I right, guys? Yeah.
I can see that.
And they've been learning about budgeting. They've been learning about managing their money. But more importantly, they've been learning about the right lifestyle to have in terms of wealth generation, and also having a purpose for that wealth. Why do you think those things are very important at this young age for them? And do you think the BeSMART program is giving them a good foundation?
Well, so let me start by talking about sort of budgeting and starting out when you're young. I mean, to be honest, when I was your age, I have to say, which is not as long ago as, well, I guess it was quite a long time ago. I'd like to think it wasn't a long time ago. I was pretty bad at budgeting. My parents actually started me off thinking about financial management very early on. So even when I was, I think, around 10 years old or something, they would have a sort of pocket money system, and I would get whatever 2 ringgit a week or whatever it was at the time, and I had to figure out how to manage my own funds. And then when I got to the opportunity to go to school and university abroad, and when I was there, it was also pretty much on a relatively tight budget, where you'd be given a certain amount to spend on books and clothes and food every month, and I was really, really bad at it. Right, so much so that I would be writing home to my father, and he would, or call him on the phone, and he would have this dreaded conversation of asking for more money, which I'm sure all of you have also been through. I was fortunate in those days that my parents were quite understanding, and even though it wasn't always a sort of free flow of funds, that there would be enough, alhamdulillah, to meet the needs. And in fact, I was probably living over my budget at the time. Similarly, when I started work and I was earning my own income, fortunately, I was actually reasonably well remunerated in my early days, but I still tended to overspend. And even though CIMB or any other bank in Malaysia would not want to hear it, don't get involved in credit card debt. It's a really bad idea. I had credit card debt until I was about 30, I think, and it was a substantial amount for me to have to clear. Fortunately, I've been a bit more smart since then, so I guess I'm being smart. So this program is important. I think you have to understand where you are in your life, your career, what financial means you have, and think accordingly and plan accordingly in terms of what you want to achieve. So it's important that you set goals, financial goals that you want to achieve, because if you don't have them, you don't really know sort of which direction you're heading. So for example, I bought my first car. Before I give the answer, I want to know what the answer is. Because Dato' Amida asked the question just now, do you know when to buy your first car? What's the answer? Someone? What? 20? Oh, it's got many answers. Okay. Someone want to volunteer the answer? I don't know.
I think we sort of shared with them that having a car is not the end goal of having money. Am I right? That's what you learn. And not to rush to buy your first car.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I guess for me, cars can be a necessity, right? I mean, these days it's a lot easier. Public transport is much better. You have the MRT, you have, you have Grab, you have Uber, you have lots of different ways to get around. I did not when I first graduated, but fortunately I also had the opportunity to borrow my mother's car, which I did for a few years. But I've bought my first car when I was 25, actually, so I guess I kind of heard that number. And I was very proud when I bought the car, and I did it only when I could actually, when I knew I could afford it. So prior to that, you know, it would be sort of borrowing my mom's car, which fortunately I had, right, or she was willing to lend to me. But not everybody is in that situation, and I think you do have to plan accordingly. But again, the good thing is that these days there are more opportunities to plan ahead. Sorry, I was quite long-winded there, and I'm not sure if I answered your question.
But, I think you did, Tengku Ali. I think you did. I think, you know, one of the things that you were sharing with us, that lifestyle is so important, and that's the main thing that you learned over the last 2 days. Basically, to not get caught up in debt. When we teach about credit card debt, I think CIMB Foundation and us, we wanted to teach you how to manage that and not to get into those situations. So thank you very much, Tengku Ali. Tengku Zafrul, the next question is for you. What do you think are the main challenges facing youth today? And from your experience, you know, helming one of the largest banks in the country, what would be your advice to overcome those challenges?
How come I get the more difficult question?
Thank you so much.
You know, Tengku Ali mentioned about when he started work, his salary was quite okay. But I think, Tengku, if you want to know the most challenging part today, when all of you start work, it's actually the salary. I mean, the Malaysian government and I mean, Malaysian employers are trying to look at this. 50% of Malaysian youth, well, this is when I say youth, maybe between below the age 25 when they start work, 50% actually fresh graduate lah, earn below 2,000 ringgit, right? And you know how difficult it is today to live just 2,000 ringgit. So I think all of us employers need to look at how to adjust this, you know, because 2,000 ringgit I don't think is enough lah, for our young graduates to start off with. So that's one key challenge. But never mind, I think what's important is you learn about budgeting, you learn that, you know, there's the income side and of course there's expenses side. So that is the income part. So, you know, you need to try and equip yourself to make sure that you are in a situation where the income side is enough to cover your expenses. I think Hamida's speech talked about online, everything now is actually macam instant gratification. You know, you see something, you want to buy it, and then it's so easy today, kan? You just press buy, when you guys have credit card, you just spending, and then at the end of the month, you have bills like Tengku Ali before he was 30. So the challenge today is to control that emotion, to have that discipline, and definitely the youth today will find that challenging. I think during my time, it's harder to just spend. You know, we have to go to the mall, you have to look at whether to buy or not. Now you just go there and then and buy. That's why in the speech study, Dr. Amida mentioned that below the age of 35, 30% are actually bankrupt. I mean, out of the population are bankrupt. 30% are below 35, right? And I think the country and the government also need to look at employment when it comes to income. I just saw the statistic. The statistic shows that close to 10.7% of the unemployed are youth below 40, 10.7%, whereas the national unemployment rate is at 3.1%. So that's 3 times more. So all of you make sure that, you know, once you finish your degree, look at areas where you can find good job opportunities. The traditional jobs are, you know, I'm sure lecturers all here know, the job of the future now have changed, and we need to equip our students and our youth to be prepared for that. So that, I think, is important. And those are the challenges I see the youth facing today, you know, not just in terms of income, but also in terms of expecting what jobs are out there today. Because the jobs, if you look at masa time Tengku Ali and myself, there were no such advertisement for jobs when it comes to data scientists or digital marketing. Things have changed, and things are changing at much faster rate than before.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Zafrul. I think you mentioning something about the challenge is also about being financially intelligent enough to know when to give in to buying certain things and getting caught with the whole marketing loop, and when to actually stand back and be intelligent. Sorry, Tengku Ali, you have something to add.
No, so I just want to make a comment on what Tengku Zafrul was saying. You know, the double challenge is this, right? On the one hand, there are I think, as you're saying, the salary numbers in Malaysia are not as high as we would like, and in fact, that's a structural issue that's facing society. But also, when you go out to look for your jobs and look for opportunities, I would also urge you not to think about too much what the number you're going to be paid is. It's think longer term. Think about, don't just think about the salary, right? I mean, obviously, I think there's certain needs that you will have that you would like to meet as soon as you can. But I think it's also important to actually do what you want to do something you love, something you have passion for, and consider that, I would say, more than how much you're going to be paid for doing it. Because if you love it, you'll do well at it, and hopefully you'll be rewarded over the longer term. So also think longer term about what you're going to be learning early on in your careers in terms of sort of professional development, in terms of opportunities to go and do things that you love. Hopefully you'll be compensated reasonably for it, but I would urge you to think longer term about that as well. And in the short term, it's important to budget properly and think about how you're going to make the ends meet. Yeah.
Thank you, Tengku Ali. So what you're saying is sometimes, you know, to think about your passion and think about purpose in the jobs itself, and that would be a very strong enabler of success. Can we have some questions from the audience, maybe? We'd like to hear how you think. We have the first question, please.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought the ladies would ask first. Waalaikumsalam. For the wire. Waalaikumsalam.
Boleh?
I will translate for Tengku Ali. That's joking.
Okay, terima kasih. I'm going to answer in English. Kalau boleh. I guess, as I was explaining tadi kan, sejak saya muda lagi, my parents were very keen to ensure that we had good financial planning and literacy. So, and in fact, I can't speak for keturunan raja yang lain, including this one. Tapi, you know, when I was growing up, my parents actually were not very wealthy. I mean, we were comfortable, of course. You know, but even when I went to school, I had the opportunity to go to school in England and to university, but I had to get a scholarship, for example, to go to university. And so, and when I was very young, I could see some of the financial struggles that even my parents faced. So, for example, my youngest brother, who has sadly passed away, was a special needs child. And he had to undergo an intensive program which involved therapy in the US. So my parents had to give up a lot of their financial capability in order to send him there, including, so my father had, I mean, we had something, so he had inherited some land, for example, he has sold it, he sold his business. So he gave up a lot of his financial means in order to meet the short-term aim of sending my brother to therapy. And I think, you know, it was obviously a big sacrifice for my family and for my parents at that point in time. But that obviously, I think, what it demonstrated to me was balancing and understanding, what your priorities are. So for my parents, obviously the priority was the family, for looking after my brother. So they gave up the financial things that they had, I guess. But it also created problems because, for example, since my father sold his company, he had enough money for a short while to look after my brother, but it meant that he gave up his income stream, right? So I guess the lesson to me was, try and plan ahead. And obviously in that situation, you can't plan, right? And that was obviously the right move that was made by my family at that point in time, and something I learned a lot from. But it did mean later on that, my middle brother and I had to look for other opportunities, to get a scholarship for university, things like that, which was absolutely fine. But I guess the short answer is absolutely we have to have financial planning. And as I mentioned personally as well, even after I started work, I was a very bad financial planner. I spent 2/3 of my of my salary on rent, which is a lot. I don't suggest you do that unless you absolutely have to. And so I was in debt for quite a long time. I'm still in debt because I have my mortgage with CIMB. Yeah, so you'll be glad to know.
Good rate. Would you like to add something? Yeah. Would you like to add something to that question? You also come from a background of royalty.
Yeah.
As well.
No, I think Tunku Ali had a very different experience, in the sense that, the exposure that he had has brought him to where he is today. I mean, if you look at, talking about other royalties, I think Tunku Ali is probably the smartest one, right? Because of the exposure he has. The smartest one I know, and I know many of them. Tunku Ali is, of course, graduate from Cambridge, also graduate from Harvard. So, he's gone through a lot. And I've seen, him probably one of the few that actually have worked. He spent time in McKinsey, of course, spent time giving back to the country by working in Khazanah. I think he took a big pay cut to join Khazanah. And now, of course, he's on his own. But to me, this kind of experience is very good. But it also teaches you how to manage financial planning properly. For me, when I first came back, I was also lucky in the sense that I didn't have to stay outside, because some of my friends, because I studied here, I was in some school in Kuala Kangsar, in College Melayu Kuala Kangsar, where a lot of my friends who came back with me from UK, they had to find a place to rent, and I was lucky because I'm from KL, so I don't have to stay outside. I can stay with my mother and father lah. I don't know whether they wanted me then, but they had no choice lah. Again, so but I can imagine people yang from outstation, my school friends, yang daripada Kelantan, Terengganu, all of them, they had to really, they really have to struggle, and we sometimes try and help them in any way we can. And I saw some of my friends buat kerja lain on top of the jobs that they do during office hours, and it is difficult. And today, I think, is even more difficult because the job opportunities are less today. So all of you really need to work hard, but you also need to learn a lot about what's happening in the world. I think, Hamidah will know this. The people that we interview today, we don't ask how good. If you got straight A's today, memang that's definitely important. But what you need to know is also what's happening in the world. Your EQ must be good, your communication skills must be good. So those are the kind of things that we in CIMB are looking at as employers. So kalau boleh, during your intern, during your summer holiday, Professor, you should encourage as many students to get exposed during that period. I think both of us did that when we were in university. That helped us during our job interview. That also helped us in our CV. So I know kalau boleh, temptation is nak cuti lah. Kan? Tapi kalau boleh, even your short semester break, take the opportunity. Don't have to be CIMB, can be anybody. Tapi please try and make the effort, because that will make a difference in a very competitive world today.
Absolutely right, I think, on that last point, right? During my university time, I worked, actually the first summer, I cuti lah. Tapi I worked sikit, maybe about 2 weeks. But the second summer of my university, the long holidays, I worked for about 10, 12 weeks. And it was a very good experience. Just being in an office environment, or whatever you want to do, right? But for me, it was a corporate life. So being in the corporate environment over the summer period, which from England, which was 10, 12 weeks, you really got to understand how the corporate culture works, which is very, very different from the university culture. Yeah. It really helps both in terms of getting you in the door when you put it on your CV, and also during the interviews, because you can talk about real life examples that you've undergone and situations where you've faced challenges and other things. But that doesn't mean you only do that during the summer, right? I mean, I think in university as well, there's lots of opportunities to get involved in student leadership programs, in extracurricular activities, social impact stuff. For example, both Tunku Zafrul and I are involved with Enactus, which some of you may be familiar with, which is a great opportunity for students to work on entrepreneurial projects to help disadvantaged communities, which is just like hitting every nail on the head, I think. So I do encourage you to look for opportunities like that, both within university and during your holidays.
I think, Tunku Ali and Tunku Zafrul, what you're talking about is to get exposure, to build your competitive edge. Because it's not enough anymore to just graduate and to get straight A's. Then there must be other things happening in your life. There must be investment that you make in yourself. And I think both of you have made that investment in terms of looking at even your free time, your holidays, to look at what kind of exposure that you can get. Am I right? Yes. Yeah. Maybe we can have another question and you can ask them something about career. Come on. Very nervous. Handsome orang dekat depan sini kan? I'm not mentioning myself. Huh? It's the two Tengkus.
Okay, terima kasih. Okay, saya akan cuba jawab. Tapi boleh tak saya jemput Tunku Ali untuk jawab juga sekali lepas tu? Boleh, okay.
Boleh lah.
Kena fair lah kan? Kita kena adil. So, you're right. Tadi I mentioned the unemployment rate for our youth graduates sekarang below 40 is about 10%, which is quite high. But the economy, as you know, I think you will learn, there will be ups and downs, right? Today, unfortunately, the economy is more down than up the last 2 years. There's a lot of challenges in the world economy, not just Malaysia. The world economy is slowing down, and it has affected Malaysia, as Malaysia is a very open economy. So you will see this. Maybe, hopefully, lagi 5 tahun bila you dah graduate, economy is probably better, and unemployment rate is lower. So I mean that's hope lah. So but if the situation hasn't changed, that's why it's important like what Tunku Ali and myself mentioned. You need to equip yourself to be different from the other graduates. Your competition will be not just your friends in USIM. No. Sekarang ni your competition will be even our foreign workers that are coming. You know, there are a lot of foreign graduates also coming. Of course, there's all these jobs. But so to me, just two things. One is, please make sure that you do your co-curricular university and take as much exposure outside the university. Yeah, and then the second one, please, make sure you strengthen your communication skill. You got to be confident about the job that you want. You must enjoy, find a job that you really want to do, and be prepared for that job. So you learn as much as possible about that role. Because sometimes kita dapat banyak fresh graduate, Dato' Amidah, they don't even know what they want. Right, so that is the problem now for a lot of the graduates that we don't recruit, because they have the straight A's, tapi when we ask them what do you want, you don't know. So it's important that you start thinking now, what do you want in your life, and then we as employer will be more convinced to recruit you. So that's important.
Okay, just on that last point, I mean, I think when you to have to know what you want, and to also, in terms of the communication skills, I think the challenge is understanding the context you're in and dealing differently in different contexts. So I'm sure you're taught in a good university to be humble and to have an appetite for knowledge, and that's very important. But when you're in the interview and someone asks you, you have to be assertive, and you have to be able to tell them what you want and how you think something should be seen. And you have to have this balance, right? You have to be able to know the context and the environment you're in and adjust how you react to it accordingly. So I think that's important. But on your other question about employment opportunities, yeah, I think the world is also changing in other ways, right? Betul peluang untuk cari kerja susah sikit kan? Tapi with the onset of, for example, the way the internet is reaching out, and you're all millennials, and the way business is changing, there are opportunities to look at doing things which could be more entrepreneurial, setting up your own businesses, coming up with ideas to sell a service or create a product which might not have existed before. And with tools that exist on the internet today, you can become an entrepreneur much more easily in terms of reaching a global market, in terms of having the opportunity to sell something online, which didn't exist 20 years ago. So I think as you go out into the world, also consider, whilst it's great to get a job and to get that professional experience from learning from a job, also the flip side is early on in your career, when you have nothing to lose, that's an opportunity to go out and try and take a risk and do something entrepreneurial. Now, you're probably wondering where you're going to get the money, how are you going to raise capital, how can people sort of find the funds to get going. And I think that again comes back to financial planning, financial literacy, understanding where the opportunities lie in terms of finding funding. For example, you could go to a bank and borrow some money, as long as you know that you can have the cash flow to pay them back. There are many grants available from the government and many different institutions that are government-linked that provide support for new entrepreneurs. And then you can always also go to your friends and family and to other people and raise private equity or venture capital. And these are all things that you can learn as you go through a financial literacy program and understand the sources of capital out there.
Thank you, Tagali. Basically, what you're saying is there's a lot of opportunities, actually. Although things are more competitive and you have to invest in yourself, as Tengku Zafrul said, but there's also opportunities in terms of, because of how technology has become this big equalizer. Tengku Zafrul, just a question on technology. These students are mainly 18 years old. They're doing their foundation, a lot of them in accounting and Sharia law. How do you think technology, the fourth industrial age, people talk about disruptive technology coming into play. How do you think it will affect them and how they think about their future, whether it's entrepreneurship or jobs? What do you think they need to think about?
Yeah, I've been watching this space very closely, and I've been talking to a lot of students, but more on the student yang final year lah. I just met up with some of them recently about the job opportunities because of technology. They want to know what are the jobs available. And these are graduates, not engineering graduates. These are graduates from non-engineering students. Because today, even for banks, I mean, if I ask the people yang duduk depan ni, siapa yang, berapa ramai yang pernah last kali pergi ke bank branch? Tak ada kan, Prof? When your last time you pergi bank branch? Lama dah kan? I can ask her. Tengok when? 2 weeks ago. but not often enough lah. Not often enough. So today, kalau you walk in any of our branches, yang quite a number of them are not always full. In fact, compared to 5 years ago, so even when you look at statistic today, 95% for CIMB lah, and I think for the banking industry lebih kurang, 95% transaction bank is done outside branches, right? Because of technology, and this I think will have an impact to our branch staff. This will have an impact to our, and in fact, even on our operations, because of automation, a lot of the staff will be affected because if they don't reskill them. So all of you have this opportunity because you can see, right? Yeah, you got opportunity. That's why you need to make sure that you understand what are the jobs of the future. Of course, university can help you, but you yourself need to help yourself to understand. You know, sekarang ni employers don't care your degree. To be honest, the degree is. If I look at your degree, it's about how you train, how you think. So you can have a degree in PhD, you can be a doctor, you can be an engineer, but you can still do banking. You can be a psychologist, you can still do banking. Because for us, university is part of your training, right? Jadi, so what I urge you is to learn a lot about, what's happening in the new technology lah. So I don't know whether this university teach coding, for example. So if you're part-time, take another course, learn about the new language for computer, right? Yeah. That's important. If you're part-time, learn about, even doing simple stuff like presentation on I mean, I don't know whether you got enough time, tapi on the PowerPoint, or even on graphics. Yes. Learn all this, please, because bila you join a company and you say you know this software, you know this programming, it will help because that is the job of the future, where you need to equip yourself and understand about technology.
Thank you, Teng Safrul. Teng Ali?
Yeah, just to add to that, I mean, I wrote it down even, this point about, in addition to basic financial literacy, the other thing that I would urge you to learn is basic computer literacy, which is exactly what Tengku Zafrul was saying. I think beyond that, if you're looking at others' life skills to sort of equip yourself with, to make yourself more competitive, one of the great things about USIM is when they graduate from here, they are all trilingual. They can speak English, Malay, and Arabic, which is a major plus. And don't take this lightly. I think USIM is one of the few universities which forces you to do that. So do take that opportunity.
So you speak
three languages, yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
And I think, if you wanted to be even further equipped in terms of language skills, do look at that. You need to be able to communicate effectively definitely in English, Malay, and then one other language, right? So if you have Arabic, that's great. But if you want to learn Mandarin and get a fourth, that's a huge bonus as well. For example. So I guess, what I'm saying, financial literacy, computer literacy, language exposure, and just being able to communicate effectively across, with different people from different parts of society, right? And understanding the context of each of these different interactions, I think is very important.
I think, Tengku Ali, you're talking about hedging yourself against the future. Tengku Zafrul as well, that's what you're talking about. We need to be prepared for future jobs, not how the industry is today and not how education is today, but to think about what I need for the future. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. My next question is for Tunku Ali. You've also held some, you have got a very impressive portfolio. You've been at McKinsey, which is one of the top consulting firms in the world. You've been a director at Khazanah. What are the right type of attitudes, mindsets, thinking patterns which are necessary for this youth today, for them to become as successful as you as a leader and to be successful enough to get into these kind of organizations?
Well, thank you for saying that. I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily sort of, that great. But the one thing I learned in consulting, I have to say, and the one thing that I continue to do now, and I think the one thing that actually got me the job in consulting in the first place, was to always ask lots of questions, right? And the stupidest question is the one that you don't ask. So if you're not sure about something, ask and seek clarification, understand the context. And if you continue to have this thirst for knowledge and this desire to learn by asking lots and lots of questions, you will get a much better understanding of what is going on out there. And ask different people the same question, because you might get a different answer, and then you'll learn something from that, right? So I think that really helped me both in getting the McKinsey job and in my time over there. You work with clients, they might find you really annoying because you keep asking them questions, but it's necessary. And I think asking a slightly different question about the same thing gives you much more color and feel about a certain thing. And asking the same question at a different time might also get you a different answer. Right. So ask lots of questions. Be curious. I think the other thing is, I spent some time in Khazanah, but I've not nearly had a career in public service as much as the gentleman on my right. So he will, I'm sure, provide some color on that. But I might add that it's, stick to what you believe in, challenge what you believe in, but stick to your values, right? And then think about what's right when you go into a situation, and try to deal with it in the way that you feel should be done. And you might get it wrong, but be prepared to make mistakes. I think one of the key differences I find between being in academia and being in the real world is that in academia, you want to be able to get it right first time. When you're answering the question in the exam or you're writing your thesis, you want to make sure it's 100% right, right? When you go out into the corporate environment or into the business world, actually, of course you want to be able to get it right, but you have to be ready to get it wrong. And you have to know what you're going to do when you do get something wrong and how you're going to deal with it. But how you deal with it and what you do next is much more important than getting it 100% right in the first place, most of the time anyway. I mean, obviously you can't apply that to every single situation, but I think that was one of the key learnings I had.
Thank you so much, Tunku Ali. Tunku Zafrul, you have this energy about you, and I mean, you're a strong driver. You look at driving yourself, driving results. I understand that you've also taken part in the Boston Marathon, and you've run different types of events, and you bring that energy to your work as well. What was that one experience that really shaped your energy to drive towards success?
Yeah. Any of you here runners? Ada?
Myself, I run away from my wife when she gives me housework.
That one you have to run very fast. This one, sorry, Dato' Amida is here. Yeah, so your husband run away? No. Okay. So I think to me, I just want to add, before I answer your question, I want to add, I think Tunku Ali's point is very important, because ini kita punya culture about scared to get it wrong, scared to fail. In fact, I also, in a way, been brought up in that culture, and I learned the hard way to change myself, to make sure that it's okay to fail. Because when we were brought up in school and even in university, during our time, it's like failure is a bad word, right? But today, I think all of you must understand it is okay to fail. Not university lah. to fail after when you start working. Sorry, Professor. After when you start working, it's okay to fail. I give you one example. I had opportunity hari tu to meet Jack Ma. I think all of you know siapa Jack Ma, the owner of Alibaba. He has failed so many times. In fact, when I saw him, he said Alibaba ni is like Alibaba and the 1001 thief. So he said Alibaba is company is about 1001 failures. In fact, his life is he had to apply for many times. Kerja tak dapat. Even dia nak kerja when he just graduated, dia nak kerja Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC. He applied how many times? About 20 times he failed to get a job in KFC. Yeah. And today he owns KFC. He bought KFC recently. So it shows that it's okay to fail. In fact, Alibaba after 18 months and it first started operation, lepas 18 bulan, Alibaba nearly bankrupt. But today it's worth about $180 billion. So it's okay to fail. And I myself, I don't want to say I failed many times juga. But it is true lah. I've had my ups and downs in my career and also personal life. But it's good, and again, Tunku Ali also mentioned about setting goals. So you set a goal, but there will be ups and downs in your career. For me, you mentioned about marathons, right? So marathon to me, I've run 3 marathons last year. This year I'm going to run 2 marathons.
Wow.
And in fact, I convinced Tunku Ali to cycle with me, and now he's doing his own marathon. He's doing his half marathon in Seremban in next month. So,
well, I have to say, Tunku Zafrul has been a real inspiration. No, I mean, in all seriousness, in terms of getting me a bit more fit than I used to be.
He's now much fitter.
But thank you for that.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, he's still single, kan? So he can. He needs to get fitter or not, susah. Yeah. Okay, but the reason why talking about marathon is about planning, because when you do something, if you don't plan, it's tough. I think like Tunku Ali knows, now he's preparing for his half marathon. You cannot just you're running in 3 months, or you're running next month. You don't do anything until the day before.
Right.
Just like in life, in your career, you got to plan. And when you do something this, you need friends to support you. You need to make sure that you make time to train. But of course, when the day itself is about the execution, you need to have your mind ready. You don't give up, Right. But along the way, you will have ups and downs. So for all of you students here, even in university, I had a lot of challenges in my course that I wanted to do. Initially, if I'm honest with you, dulu I nak buat law, and then I finally realized that I'm not a very good person to when it comes to law. I was not very good at it lah. When I buat A-level lah. I think all of you are here pre-university kan, matriculation. So the same. So you need to decide. By that time, I was difficult lah because I was committed to do law, and I was under this GPA scholarship. I think my professor will know, susah nak tukar scholarship. So in the end, I did economic and accounting for university. But of course, GPA gave me a hard time, so I had to get certain grades, and certain university boleh bagi tukar the course. So, but it is okay because I knew it's going to be tough. Even for my career, I think I've got my ups and downs. I tried to. Tadi Tunku Ali mentioned about being entrepreneur, and it's okay to fail because you're still young when you start. So I did that. I tried to be entrepreneur sekejap, and I must say I didn't do too well lah. And I pick myself up again and I start again another career. Not another career. Back to my banking career in that.
Right. Thank you so much, Tunku Zafrul. I think that's very good advice. It's real advice, and it's not about just doing one thing, but being adaptive. Don't look at your mistakes. Keep coming out, trying new things, looking at where your calling is. And I think it's not by accident that you come up to the top. It's more by experiences that you have. Am I right, Tunku Zafrul?
Yeah. And I think experience is important. Yeah.
Yeah. And how you handle those experiences.
Yes. Because there will be bad and good times. So like what Tunku Ali said, you must always pick yourself up again. Don't give up. And if you fall, it's okay to fall. But society now don't look at failures like the way they used to look before.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of the tech giants and people are actually talking about how the failures shaped them to be successful, actually.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
That's right.
Could we have another question from the students?
How are we for timing?
We're okay. We can maybe have another 2 questions.
All right. Oh, okay. Belakang sekali.
Very good question and a tough one, because I guess you're talking about heroes and mentors, no? And people who inspired. You know, when I mentioned just now, you know, this is a bit of, it's almost a cliche, but growing up, I saw how my parents had sort of lived their lives and how much they had care and dedication to the family and the sacrifices that they made in order to try and raise their children. And that, to me, I guess that for all of you as well, I'm sure, to a large degree, your earliest inspiration comes from your parents, right? You learn so much from them, and you see how they handle problems and challenges, and that inspires you to go and want to do new things and be successful. Later on, you know, as I went to school abroad, I got the opportunity to meet lots of different people and get inspired by various individuals, including some of my teachers in school, who played a key role in, for example, pushing me to go to the university that I managed to go to, and then also learning from my peers. Right? Actually, you know, you always think about people who inspire you have to be older than you, much older than you, and you learn from them. Actually, you can learn a lot from the people around you as well, and they can really inspire you to go and do new things. For example, I mean, not exactly answering a question from when I was a child, but you know, Tunku Zafrul does inspire me with the, you know, particularly his dedication to everything that he really wants to do, the sport, the running, the cycling, but also the amount of time that he gives up and how he fits it all into his life. I don't know how he does it, because he's always doing so many different things. And that's an inspiration, and I can say that I'm very lucky to have friends who inspire me to go and do things as well, and I'm sure, you know, look amongst your peers for that. In terms of sort of, you know, childhood heroes, you know, let me see. You know, they can be real and they can be not real, right? So one of the real childhood heroes I read about when I was still in primary school was actually Tuanku Abdul Rahman, who was the first Agong of Malaysia, but also my great-grandfather. So when I read about him and I started asking, as I said, so many questions, right, to my family, to people about this man. You know, why did he become the first Agong? What's so great about him? You know, why is it not somebody else? And you know, it really inspired me in so many ways. You know, in the sense that he was actually a guy who grew up in the British colony of Negeri Sembilan at that point in time, sort of federated Malay states, but he worked, right? So I mean, as you're saying, so he worked as in the State Department, doing various things for the office in the state government. Then he had the opportunity to go to England to do law at the Inner Temple, and he came back and he became a magistrate, and he actually worked as a magistrate serving the state before he eventually became the ruler. And there's another story about how much he really treasured education and also to be very careful with actually your resources. So it turns out he was growing up in Serting, and he lived quite far away from school, but he only had one pair of shoes. So what he would do is he would walk barefoot to school every day, and when he got to school, he would put his shoes on so that he can have his shoes, nice shoes on in school. And then when he went home, he would take his shoes off before walking home so that he wouldn't wear his shoes out, right? And this is a guy who became the Agong, right? So it's an interesting story because it tells you that he really valued what he had, which is the one pair of shoes. He understood that when he got to school, it's really important to be presentable and to value the education that you have in school, both in school in Negeri Sembilan and when he went to in the temple. And then, once he had received that education, to give it back to society by serving the state and then by being a magistrate and eventually becoming Agong. So that, to me, not just because he's a relative of mine, and an ancestor of mine, but because he was a great example of a person who inspired.
Thank you, Tengku Ali. Just because of time, what would be one final piece of advice, Tengku Zafrul, that you want to give this audience here today?
Okay. My final advice is, it's really, as you grow your life journey, like what Tengku Ali said just now, about life journey, you will for you still have another 3 to 5 years of university life. Enjoy as much as you can, living your life as a student. But at the same time, try and balance that with preparation for your future life, which is your career when you start work. So, it's important that you do well in your studies, but it's equally important that you try and balance it with family, because later on you will realize, now maybe as a student you realize today, but as you will see more when you start working later, how important family are to support you when you are just starting your career. And during these next 5 years, try to learn as much as possible outside your university life, apart from co-curriculum within university, but outside your university life. Read as much as you can outside the books that the professors ask you to read. I did a lot of reading when I was in university about what's happening in the world. Read magazines. Now lagi senang, banyak online. Just keep reading and meet as many people outside your circle as a student. So because the danger is kita ni bila in one university or sometimes with our own friends, you tend not to look at meeting new people. Try and meet new people, because this is important part of life experience and this is a good chance to do it, because these are the people you will meet later and you will understand how to engage and interact with people after you start your work life.
Thank you very much, Tengku Zafrul. Tengku Ali, in giving them that advice, I want it to be more your passion. You're involved in a lot of foundations, you get involved in a lot of charitable work, and some of the students are very interested in that because we did a module on it about wealth and giving back to society. So
excellent.
Could you give them one piece of advice, a final advice on getting involved with a passion and charitable work?
Thank you. No, I'm involved in a number of different charitable organizations, including Teach for Malaysia, WWF Malaysia, Yayasan Menara, which is my family foundation, and a few other things that come now and then. But the mistake I made, and I hope that you don't, is that I started very late. Right, I started getting involved with these things only in the last 7 or 8 years, something like that. And now, I'm very excited to be part of those initiatives and to spend as much of my time as I can on them. However, I didn't do a lot of that when I was in university, because I always thought, I have to focus on my studies, or I want to go and hang out with my friends, or whatever it was. I think it's really important to have a good grounding of what the world is like, and also get perspectives of the lives of other people. And so in addition to what Tunku Zafrul was saying, you also want to get exposure, not just by meeting lots of people, but also by traveling, and also by getting involved in causes that you feel are important. So, but it has to be something that resonates with you. Don't just do it because, you feel you need to tick the box on your CV, right? Get involved in a charity or in an initiative that helps other people or other communities or the animals or the environment because you feel it's important. And it doesn't matter sort of if you feel that, I'm just one person, how can I make an impact? Actually, all of these big projects start out with one person with a desire to change the world, right? And they get involved and they start, and it can be something small. It can be a recycling program or something if you want to do something for the environment. And you can just get a team of people around you and start that. So there's many different things you can start, and it can start small and it can grow over time. But I think the important thing is to start early and to get involved.
Thank you so much, Tunku Zafrul, Tunku Ali. Just to sum up, so the two main things I think that you need to think about is one, preparing for your future. As Tunku Zafrul was saying, it's not about the current environment now, but you need to think about how the future is going to be and how you can get that experience and that competitive advantage to succeed in that future. And you've also heard from Tunku Ali, life is just more than just about a job and about money and about what you're looking for. Having a purpose and giving back to society also helps you grow. Thank you very much, both of you, for spending time with us here today.